Official records of the city of Shelbyville do not exist before 1894, but the obituary of George Petrie, P-E-T-R-Y, who died in 1899, mentioned that he was for a number of years mayor of the town of Shelbyville. Before 1938, mayors of Shelbyville were elected to 4-year terms by the city council. But in 1942, that changed, became election by the people, and Robert F. Matthews Sr. became the first person to win the office in a general citywide election. The mayor of Shelbyville is the chief executive and administrative office of the city. The principal function of the job is to oversee the management of the city's daily affairs. And tonight we have with us 4 former mayors of Shelbyville, Kentucky. Marshall Long, who was mayor from 1974 to 1982, and he was the first mayor I was associated with, still in office, and he's a great neighbor. Neil Hackworth, if we have a mayor for life, I think he was the longest serving mayor, may be corrected on that. He was mayor from 1982 to 1995. I think you beat Jesse Puckett out by a year. Don Kubert Sr. was mayor in 1995, and David Eaton here was mayor from 1995 to 2002. Our current mayor, Tom Hardesty, was invited tonight, but he had a prior commitment. He had to, but he sent his regrets. I'm going to ask the mayors just a couple of questions. I want this to be very informal, and any questions you have for our 4 former mayors, I want you all to ask them. So, I'll start with Marshall, the first one to know. Tell us a little bit, Marshall, about your administration, what you considered some of your accomplishments. What happened to Shelbyville when you were mayor?
Well, you know, the first day I came into office, I had a lawsuit from Playboy magazine because my previous friend had told him that they couldn't sell them in this convenience store. Couldn't have Dr. Porter. He couldn't. So you know, we didn't have any money to file a lawsuit, answer lawsuits or anything. So I finally wrote the guy. We had conversations back and forth with this people in Chicago. Finally, I said, if they put it under the counter, is that okay? And they said, yeah. Ever since then, I've told people I settled that for a year's subscription. It was better than when I first came in. The mayor made $100 a month, whether they earned it or not, and it stayed that way the whole time. I think the last month they gave me $200. We had, you know, I think the city has been very fortunate over the years. A lot of really good people have worked for the city, and if there's been any growth, anything, a lot of those deserve credit. People like Ernest Hawkins and people like that. Belcher was the police chief. When I was in, I think originally we had 5 policemen, something like that. And I think when I left we had 11 or something like that. On a very thin budget. And we hired the first black policeman at that time, I believe, and the first woman. And I was worried to death about her. And until one night the phone rang, I had told her, I said, Bobby, whatever you do, don't go into Greens without somebody with you. And I called her. Belcher was laughing on the phone about 2 o'clock in the morning, said, you can quit worrying about her. She's got 3 laying on the floor down there with a shotgun out there. And she was tough. She was tough. She was a good cop. And we had a lot of those people whose names I can't even remember, some of them now, that gave their life and to dedicate to the city, that deserve a lot of the credit for it. They were in his. Some of them were in Neil's administration. Well, we spent an awful lot of time working on expansion, sewers. I was looking at a couple boxes of stuff I've got at home the other night, and everything has to do with applications for expansion of sewers. What we did when I came in, Melvin Sams Mr. Rubin, and I forgot who the third member was, were the board for the water company. They weren't real interested in expanding anything. In fact, Melvin wanted to dig some of them up. But, so I asked them if they would kindly step down. And I found the three tightest guys I could find. Shug Hickman, Tommy Hire, and Clayton Baker, and then my brother Charles, well, I think came and, you know, and they did an outstanding job, and they served for a number of years, and have begun the expansion. We expanded started adding a little bit to the city. Every one of those was a fight. I mean, I had to sue Tommy Hire, who was one of my best friends, when we did that one. And then I've forgotten, Neil, how far out we went. Hunt Garner wanted to be an annex, and we couldn't do that until you were.
I was the attorney on the other side.
But we did make some changes.
That was when I was against the city.
And I think all of these people have worked well with the county officials, and I think Shelbyville is unusual in that bit that we were able to work with the county judges and everything. So I think we've been very fortunate. The city's been very fortunate, and the people who work for them more than anything.
Marshall, if the other three mayors and the audience would indulge me for a minute, could you quickly tell the Dr. Love story?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's this guy, there's Dr. Bliss. I looked that up the other night.
Okay.
Dr. Bliss was going to put an abortion thing down where the city clerk's office is now, or Sue Carroll's office, somewhere down in there. And you could, that night the room was full, and that was when we were down in that old basement. We had policemen there and everybody there. We usually had a couple of drunks there, but they weren't there that night. So Jack had just been hired by the newspaper, and I met him, and he came walking in. I said, "Oh, here comes Dr. Bliss now." His face turned 10 colors of red. But fortunately, we found something. Somebody found something that we didn't get very far, because we didn't think that would work too well in Shelbyville.